I think we're back. All right, we're
Woohoo!
back now, and we both have our books. We're
We
back
do.
together.
Okay, let me see.
All right. Let me also see. Make sure that we're on Twitch, and we're on Twitch as well.
Yay!
Whew. Okay, we made it. All right, here we go. We are here. We made it.
Oh, thank you guys for your patience and sitting here with us.
What do you want to do? Good. All right. Awesome. Got some chats. Yes, hello, King Crew. All right, Radiance already coaching out of us. Hey, it says me, hello.
Cool.
Yes, Davida, we are jamming. We got music now, so this has been a journey, and yeah, I'll stop the music, or I'll try to make it later too. So we've switched over, and I think we're gonna test this out. We're gonna see if we like this. Right now we're on Riverside FM. Here we can do the intro.
That was honestly really incredible.
This is their intro. If you were kind of vibing to this when we were talking about it. All right, so what are we here?
It's like kind of hard to hear you.
Is it?
Sometimes.
Here, let me. Is this better?
I don't know if it has to do with like the music too.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
How about everybody in the chat? Can you all hear us? Can you hear? Can you hear us? Are we coming through?
Are we coming through?
Hello, everybody. Everybody out there. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear us? You just put like a 1 in the chat if you can hear us, or like a yes, a thumbs up, however, whatever works, whatever's clever. And I think yes, great, awesome. You can hear us. So you're gonna put another octopus, a squid. It's a squid. Put a squid. So I'm assuming that's a yes. Oh yes. Squid 1, Squid 2, Squid 3. Oh, that's weird. So it shows up like this in here. Okay, this is something to know. We don't actually see all the chat in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because like King's Crew put in that they remember that they used when they were doing a podcast in the UK. They used Riverside, but that's not showing up in the live stream chat here.
And they put that on Twitch?
But they put on the Twitch, yeah.
Grr. Okay. I'm also like having a hard time like finding us here on like it's not saying that we're live on YouTube, which is weird.
Oh really?
Yeah. But I'm like, are we live?
Weird. I don't know. But maybe we can. Music is overpowering just a little bit for me.
Thanks everyone for helping us figure this out. We did do a test stream. If anyone that didn't hear that earlier, we did.
Yeah. But is the music better here now? Is this
yeah,
better?
I think that's much better.
Okay. Because it's like on the bar, it's like this tiny. It's like barely there.
I'm
like, oh, is that really?
It's so funny. Like sometimes the like Twitch chats come through Riverside, and then sometimes it's like non-existent. So weird.
Yeah, like the music is a little overpowering, just a little. That was Togi Eater in Twitch, but it didn't show up in here.
Right, which is like, huh?
Interesting. Well, we'll see. We'll mess around with this. Maybe it won't be too bad, and I have the Twitch stream up here as well, and I'll just.
I do too.
Cool. Yeah, so we're good. All right. Welcome everybody officially to Radiance and Reality Coaching. We're going to talk today about The Perfection Trap, this amazing book. We're obviously not going to do all of it, but we're going to just highlight a few things that we both really enjoyed from this book. This was a part of our monthly read. We did give ourselves an extra week.
We did.
As we took a break last week. And then we will decide on a new book after the stream.
Yeah.
Unless Kayla already has a book in mind, but
No.
to put you on the spot.
Not yet.
So if you haven't already got this book or listened to it, I would highly recommend. This was my choice. I think we both felt very seen in this book.
Yes.
In The Perfection Trap. And very, very, very extremely relevant. I think always really, I would say now, but also just forever. I think this is always going to be a thing until we as a society improve and get better about, not being, not making people feel like they're not enough.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think this is the biggest thing. It's so funny. It says those in the chat, but I don't see them. But anyways, cool, great. So real quick, I'll let Kayla start with just introducing herself.
Yeah.
Okay, go take it away.
Good. I'll take it over. Hi everyone. I'm Kayla Winters. I'm the proud owner of the Lunar Radiance Wellness Center, where I am a life coach, yoga instructor, and sound healer. And a little bit about myself and my business. So my take on coaching is through the lens of focusing on self-discovery, self-exploration, and self-love, and really supporting women on that journey. And so that's essentially what I'm all about. And I'm just excited about today's book because I feel like it hits perfectly with being able to explore and discover more about yourself, and then also like channel into the side of love. So that's a little bit about me. How about you, Jihong?
Awesome. Oh man, I need to get on this clapping. I can't hear it, but I assume it's going.
Oh, is it a hand clapping?
It's the hand clapping, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. Let's do this. All right. And my name is Juhong, and I am a master NLP practitioner and the owner of Reality Switch Coaching. My take and approach to coaching really has a focus on like emotional intelligence or awareness, and just how we with that interact with each other, the world, and ourselves. And mainly using NLP, but also emotionally focused therapy as well. And obviously amazing books like this, just adding to just the knowledge and things. But yeah, so that's that.
Thanks for introducing yourself.
Yes, thank you for introducing yourself too.
Yeah. So we used to do this, like, I don't know, in the very beginning with our streams. Crazy, this is stream number 6 for us. And we were doing gratitude and intentions today. We're gonna just focus on intentions. So if you guys want to drop in the chat what your intentions or how you want to show up today for this live, Juhong and I will share with you guys right now, and we'll share what you guys say as well. Juhong, what's your intention for today's live, talking about the perfection trap?
I want to say my intention is to not get caught up in just going literally word by word in this book, because I feel like every single sentence in this book is amazing and very insightful all the way through. So I would say my intention today is really to highlight how, while society plays a big part in how we grow up with these feelings of never being enough and then leading to that perfectionism, it's, while that's the case, to still help others and myself too, because as we talk about this, I'm also learning as well, to help us understand that there is a lot that we can control, with just an understanding and acceptance that, well, the game is slightly not rigged, but it is built to work against you in that
Mhm.
way. But once you set yourself free, you're like pretty much free and done for like ever. So like you're good. So
Yeah,
that is the long that's the long
I love
short
it.
intention. What's your intention for today?
I love it. Thanks for sharing. I
Mhm.
appreciate it. I think my intention for this, um, conversation is just gonna be vulnerability and, like, sitting kind of in the hot seat for this topic with myself because, like, I am a huge perfectionist, recovering perfectionist, I would say. And I told you before when we had conversations, like, I felt like my name was just, like, spelt out on, like, every page of this book. And so it was a lot to, like, reflect on, and I'm just, like, excited to show up and be vulnerable and, like, not have to be perfect on this live. So, yeah, that's my intention.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I think I can't imagine anyone who would read this book and not feel like they were being talked to directly and
Yeah.
uh because this is such uh an epidemic, a pandemic, whatever, like of just again that not feeling enough. And I think a lot of people, especially today, can feel that way or not getting mm, the satisfaction out of life that we're all searching for. Um,
Mhm.
which this book talks about beautifully.
Yeah,
So based on
absolutely.
research and things that have been done. So yeah. If
Yeah.
anyone else in the chat would like to share what their intention is for today, or even sharing just kind of what your thoughts are on perfectionism, whether you believe it's a good or a bad thing, how it's been applied in your life. Um, and maybe we can also kind of talk a little bit about that too. Let's see. King Screw said, "My intention is to see where the perfection meaning is differed from each individual." Interesting.
Okay.
Yes. How we each define perfectionism. I'm assuming that's
Mhm.
what that is. Um, I th- it will be interesting because I think, and we kind of got this last week. Oh, not last week, 2 weeks ago, with the different definitions of compassion
Mm,
and how we found like, well, some people had their definition, but then had like society's definition.
yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't. I'm curious to see what you think. It's just I feel like our own definition is more important than what society defines it, but also having an awareness of how the greater society, or no, I wouldn't say greater, but how the larger society may define these things. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you, like, your own definition is super important, but I think that, like, for a long time, I viewed perfectionism to be like, there's a part in the book where they talk about, going into job interviews and,
Mhm.
like, jobs asking you, like, "What's your biggest weakness?" And you saying, "Oh, my biggest weakness is that I'm a perfectionist," right? And I was like, I've literally said that in an
Yeah,
interview before, like,
same.
I'm not even joking. I've probably said it in a couple interviews. Like, again,
Same.
I'm not joking when I say I feel like my name was literally, like, spelt out on every page of this book. And so what I think is so great about what King's Crew is saying is that, like, being able to hear other people's definition and getting a glance from, like, other people's perspective is so beautiful because it allows us to widen our lens and to be able to see it differently. So I'm also really curious what other people have to say and how other people interpret it, and I'm just, like, so grateful for this book because I think it's allowed me to, like, deeper understand, my own, uh like, just the reality of perfectionism, not from this, like, skewed perspective of, like, this is benefiting you, I guess.
Correct. Yeah.
Or
I
that
mean, the
this is,
book
like,
is
perfectionism is a good thing. Um, because, like, frankly, it isn't. Things being perfect is not, like, a sign of, like it's also just not real life. Like, it's not I don't know where, like, perfect became the, like but what even is perfect, right? Like I feel like we can question perfectionism in so many different ways. What is perfect? What does it mean? Like all these things. And then I feel like that allows you to just like start to poke the holes in the like facade of perfectionism.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
my
then
long
the way
answer
that
for you.
and the I mean the book is literally called The Perfection Trap.
Yeah.
Um and let's see, King's Crew said, yes, but how much does society play a part of our own individuality versus society's version, which in turn can be overshadowing? And well, we'll talk about how the book views it,
Yeah.
and I think we both kind of agree with the way that this is, um, and we will definitely talk about that a lot more in today's stream.
Yeah, I think that
Um,
the
yeah,
author like perfectly like takes it from like the wide perspective and brings it to the individual and like back and forth really well. So I'm excited to like dig into that more with you guys. So that way you guys understand too.
yeah, this will be fun. And with that, we can actually jump in. So what we decided to do, Kayla and I, kind of as we've gone through the book, we each highlighted like two or three things that we enjoyed, or we really were like, whoa, this is crazy, like we really need to share this. um that way to give you just a little bit of insight into the book, but we'll talk more on these things. And with that, and then obviously, you all definitely jump in with your own thoughts, what, respond to what we're talking about. And King's Crew is doing a great job of that, and Toga Eater is here as well. And anyone else who's in the audience, feel free to just be like, if you agree with something, be like yes or yeah. So you can put a 1 in there if you agree, 2 if you disagree, and always share what your opinions are. This is a safe space, as we always create. We want everybody to be able to express themselves in a respectful way, obviously.
Yeah.
So just make sure you're doing that. And if things get kind of out of hand, we'll step in. But so far, we've had really great discussions, I feel like, in the streams about the different topics. So, and this one is very dear to all of us. Oh, gosh.
Just a
All
little
right.
bit. I before
Yeah.
we get started, I do want to
Oh,
ask
yes.
like does anyone here in the chat like self-define themselves as a perfectionist or feel like they have perfectionism tendencies? Um,
Mhm.
totally okay either
Yeah.
way. There's no wrong or right answer with that. I was just like curious. Uh, my
Let me
hand
raise
is
my
as
hand
high
in
as it
the
can
chat.
possibly go.
Actually,
Uh,
does it? It doesn't show up
okay,
on stage,
yes,
but
I see.
yeah.
Cool. Great. Well, I guess like not great, but great, you know.
Well, it's funny because King's Crew and I, we've talked about this very, very, very briefly about um, just how when he's working, he owns his own shop, a great motorcycle repair shop, King's Garage, amazing. But like he will do so much in a day,
Hmm.
but still feel like, but I feel like I could do more. I feel like I could have done more. I feel like I could have done more. I feel like I could have done more. I could have got more done if I had just done this, if I had just done that. And it's just like that. And it made me immediately think of this book and just like how we can get so caught up in that. Like you could always have more. You could always do more. Oh, if I just done this, if I just done that, and we beat ourselves up, and then we just like we already didn't feel accomplished, and then we just like start beating ourselves up, and then we just like feel worse and
So
worse.
we're
And at the end of the
nothing.
day, we're just like,
Yeah.
man, I didn't do nothing today. This is terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't do nothing. But like when you look back and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I did these things. But then you're already so far in that well of just like, ugh.
Crap,
Anyways, so
essentially. Yeah.
yes, and I definitely would say even to this day, even after reading this book, it's a journey, and I
Yeah.
definitely still have some tendencies to like, oh, this could be better. This could be better. Even when we were getting ready for this stream, like, oh, what are we going to title it? Like, well, maybe it could be this or it could be that. And it's like, okay, look, just, it's fine. It's going to be okay. It's
It's
all right.
gonna be okay.
Don't worry.
No, literally. I think us getting ready for this stream actually was, like, a really great and then having read this book, we were both like, "Are you trying to be a perfectionist right now?" And it was
Yeah.
like, "You know what? Yeah, I
Yeah, I
am.
am.
I
I am.
am."
Yeah.
Right? Like, this situation I feel like runs so deep, and this is also just like a when we're talking about this, like, be kind to yourself, give yourself grace, um, if you need to go for a walk, journal after this, like, take some time to, like, digest this information because it is a lot, and just know that, like, you're not gonna have a solution by the end of this. Again, that's, like, the perfectionist in us talking, being like, "I have to have a solution for this problem by the end of this live, and no, 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 no."
Yeah.
It's like, actually, no, this is called step 1, which is, like, so beautiful. It's called awareness, and we're, like, tapping in, and we're creating community, and we're coming together, and we're recognizing, um, how we can better support ourselves as we move through life. So, just a reminder. Little
Yeah.
food for thought.
Yeah. And yes, 100%. I was just gonna say, just kind of, so King's Crew said like, yes, we have brother, and I use it as a building block to continued forward motion. And I
Mm,
think in this book, and we're kind of jumping into it already, but like,
yeah.
um, since it's here, like, oh, why not? Um, I would say, I think that's the biggest difference in like that perfectionism, because he talks about that growth mindset,
Yes.
and when he kind of talks about it, and he's like, but it, I think eventually gets to a point where it's, like, toxic almost because, again, that growth mindset, "Well, I always have to be better. I always have to be better. I could always learn more. I could always learn more. I could always learn more. I won't make any more mistakes. I won't make any more mistakes." And you just, like, kinda stay on that and
Mhm,
not being able to, like, stop and just appreciate, like, "Wow, look at how far you've come."
mhm,
And how much you have accomplished now. And then, yes, then springing forward, and then, if you want to do more, that's motivating for you. So now you have the energy to like keep going. Cool, great. It's just not avoiding burning yourself out to keep achieving that continued forward motion. And you can
mhm,
still look back, and when somebody asks you, "Hey, so how was your day?" And you go, "You know what? I actually did a lot today. I'm like really impressed. Like, yeah, maybe I didn't get to some things on my list, but look at all the things I did, and, like, that is awesome, and I'm glad I did that today, and being able to just appreciate those things. Um,
absolutely.
I'm trying to
I
find, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
I was gonna say one thing that I like, there's an anecdote in this story about, the author was talking about their grandfather who was, like, a woodworker or something along those lines,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
so they
yeah.
kind of created this distinction between, um, striving for excellence and striving for perfection. And I really loved that this was brought out because, again, I think that we see sometimes like, well, I'm just trying to be the best that I can be, right? And that is so great. And you absolutely should strive for your best, you know? The difference between striving for like excellence or your best and like perfectionism, I think really comes down to like the shame, the introduction of shame. And if
Okay,
you can strive for your best without including shame, then you're doing great. But if you striving for your best is done so by shaming yourself and harping on yourself and not, coming from a place of, like, genuinely wanting to like, I think shame takes away from the doing your best, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
that I really loved that distinction and, the grandfather that they were talking about, they were a woodworker, and they just simply did woodworking because they loved it. They didn't care if they messed up or if it didn't look perfect. Of course,
yeah,
they were striving their best to, like, master their craft, but that didn't mean that if they had a day where things didn't go the way that they wanted, that they, shit on themselves and said, "Oh, forget this. Why am I even trying?" Right? They're like, "Well, that was just a hard day. And guess what? I'm gonna get back on there," right? Or they got a bad review from their store. Well, that's their opinion. I'm still gonna keep doing my best because it's my best, right?
yes,
Where perfectionism, that review is like kind of an amplification of shame and like the almost like a real life example of like your shame coming true, I feel like, and then can just like amplify and torpedo and tornado and just create a massive storm of just overwhelm, fear, all of the things, right? And just like, yeah, shame is that key indicator of like between striving for excellence and your best and perfectionism. So, I don't know if anyone else can relate
mm,
to having shame pop up or having shame, being, I don't know, a part of your journey. I know it's definitely been a part of mine. I see we got some
oh,
some
I was
activity
like, "What
here in
is
the
this?"
chat.
Like, I was like, "What is this thing?"
I know.
Um, Yes, King's Crew was like, or Monster Andy was like, yeah, 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 yeah. I think like yes, like voting yes, like me. Mistakes
Torpedo. Oh
are
my gosh, that's so
Oh,
funny.
that's what these are supposed to be, torpedoes. Mistakes King's Crew said mistakes are part of the algorithm for resulting moving forward.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and I think there's that healthy view on mistakes because the way that Thomas Karan, who is the author of The Perfection Trap, he just talk about mistakes and how we're always like, oh, just you just keep learning from them and like you just keep that growth mindset and stuff. And he does kind of paint it as far as when I read it, I took it as like he kind of painted it again like kind of negatively, like again we get caught up in this, oh well, oh, what does he say? It says like making or failing forward kind
Mhm.
of thing. And it's like I think for me when I read that or when I thought about the whole idea of failing forward, that I've always gone like, okay, look, yes, do you want to learn from your mistakes? Things happen. Okay, learn, grow, move on. Um, but there's always that pause of like, damn, that sucked. Okay, now what can we do to move forward? And again, like you said, like avoiding that shame part of like, oh well, you said it was gonna happen, or you said this, and everything was riding on you, and blah 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 blah. And instead of doing that part, I feel like is the like negative part, the like, oh gosh.
Mhm.
But if we just take some time to go, okay, that sucked. No blame. Let's move on. What are we
Mhm.
gonna do to move forward, and how can we all get there? And then later, you can have those conversations individually of like, okay, what happened? Hey, this is where I need you to show up. This is where, whatever the case is. Um, King's Crew said, people who care deeply about what they build almost always carry a self-critical undercurrent. And I think, but I kind of like what you said about that anecdote with the grandfather who was like the carpenter and stuff.
Mhm.
And I feel like that was the thing where he may have. I think there's always that like little bit of like, you always want to do your best work,
Mhm.
but the difference in that situation would be like, I care deeply about my work. And yes, do I want to show up? Of course. And there's that little bit of anxiety to like make sure that I do show up in the way I want to. But at the end of the day, I'm not doing it for 5-star reviews. I'm doing it because I care.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I mean, in your opinion, would that be still like that negative, like, well, but you still shouldn't feel that way. But then people who care, right? They still show up. Yeah, good.
No, I mean, I don't think it's saying that you can't, like, care or have, like, notice things that are not, I don't know, hitting the mark, right? Like, I think what I sorry, I'm totally, like, having a brain fart right here. I guess
No,
what
you're
I am trying what
good. You're good.
what I feel like
Oh, pizza
pizza
sounds
time,
good.
have a good stream, love that.
Pizza does sound good.
Honestly, same. We should just have pizza time during the stream. What I am can you rephrase your question one more time?
um, so kind of like how people have that, like how King Screw said that self-critical undercurrent of like,
Mhm.
well, I want to show up. I need to show up how I want to show up. And then that can get toxic as well.
Yeah.
Um, but would you say
I don't think that there's anything wrong with,
okay.
like, accountability. Okay, wait, let me look what this is. It's the same drive that pushes you towards excellence, but it can turn inward when things go wrong. I think it can so this is also what I love about this book is because, um, he defines, like, different types of perfectionism, which
I
I
have
would
them
love
here,
to
and we
go
will go
okay,
through them.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's take a
I'm
look.
pretty sure it's on page 30. So if you have the book, or like this copy of the book, it's on page 30. And he actually I can like show you guys. He has this like really beautiful diagram in here, um, explaining the different types of perfectionism. And I love that he like identifies how there's socially prescribed perfectionism. So essentially that is like feeling the pressure from outside of you to be perfect. And then there's self-oriented where it's coming from within. And then there's other oriented where it's directed on others. So you're kind of like projecting. I kind of saw this one as like the projecting
Yeah.
perfectionism, but like
Yes.
to be able to project, you also have to hold yourself to that level too. Um, so
Well, some
it's
people
it's it's
don't.
it's
I
its own
feel
shitstorm, right? These
yeah.
are all like their own issues, and I do think that they can also exist at the same time. Um, where you might feel the pressure, but also have the internal pressure, and then it's just like this nice little pressure cooker, and it is ready to blow the top off, literally. So, Jung, do you wanna add anything more about these different types of and I also wanna say before you jump in here, the reason why I feel like that came up was you mentioned here King's Crew talking about how it can turn wrong and become inward, but is it always inward? No. And I think that that's where these different types, can be really helpful to identify that, like, it's not always, like, our responsibility for feeling that pressure of needing to be perfect.
Yeah. I'll go through real quick and just read these definitions.
Yeah.
So these definitions actually come from Paul Hewitt and Gordon Flett's multidimensional model of perfectionism. So Thomas Kren got data, I want to say mainly from these two researchers.
Yeah.
Um, and so the way that they define perfectionism is that it's characterized by deficit thinking, which we've kind of mentioned already.
Mhm.
So it's thinking of less than, and always not having enough. And essentially, I'm not perfect enough, and therefore I must conceal my imperfections from everyone and all around me. So that's how perfectionism is characterized. Then self-oriented perfectionism is directed from within, like Kayla mentioned. It involves a way of existing in the world that says, I must be perfect and nothing but perfect, which then comes from those exceedingly high personal standards, critical self evaluation for imperfect performances or appearances. And I would say this is where it's like when we say critical self-evaluation, it's not just saying that, oh, you can't look at yourself and go, oh, you know what? Yeah, I missed this. Okay, next time I'll do this to make sure that I make it, or whatever the case is. It's more of that like, oh my God, I made a mistake. Oh, I'm such a shithead. Oh, I'm the fucking worst person
Mhm.
ever. Oh, I'll never amount to anything. Like that kind of critical self-evaluation.
Yes.
That and when it's like, oh man, I barely maybe you still had a great performance or something, or you did something really amazing but because it wasn't perfect, now you're going to like crush yourself because it wasn't exactly in like the perfect world. It did not happen. Um, despite whatever might have happened or whatever. So that's self-oriented. The other oriented or socially prescribed, we'll do that. Socially prescribed perfectionism is directed from the environment. It involves the belief that others expect me to be perfect. So in that case, I mean, I do kind of, I would say for King's Crew, I do kind of expect his work to be pretty perfect because he works on motorcycles. But he does hold himself to that high standard, right? Because there's a lot of safety involved, and that makes sense. It's like, okay, yeah, you want to make sure that the bikes you're sending out are good condition and are ready to go and are safe for the riders. Um, in situations like a surgeon, like yes, there's that high stress, but if the surgery goes well or if the bike gets fixed and everything is fine, and it's like, ah, man, maybe I could, oh, I could have this, I could have that, oh, whatever. It's like, dude, it's fine. Like it worked out, everything was good. You did it. Calm down. You're good. But I think
Right.
those professions are especially prone to that socially prescribed perfectionism because there is that element of like, well, it should be exactly perfect. And most of the time it is, right? There's those like really you have those like checklists. You have
Right.
things where people are going through and making sure like, all right, do we do step 1? Yes. Okay, now let's move to step 2. Perfect. So socially prescribed projected from outside the self, perception that the environment demands perfection. So like when we're in school, oh my god, my grades. Oh, you don't have A's? Wow, you're a terrible student. Like, well, I have B's. Ooh, but they're not A's. Well, you're probably not going to amount to anything. You're never going to get into college. Oh, what? But I'm only a second grade. I don't understand.
Right.
Um, Others are perceived to be judgmental and not accepting of imperfection. and I think a lot of this comes from like families too.
Mhm.
Especially now, I see it a lot, or we probably both see it actually from like our work with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and a lot of the littles are like may have families where like they feel like they have to put their kid through all these different programs, otherwise they're never going to make it. They're not going to get into a good school. Nobody will even look at them when it comes to like resumes or like job applications and things like
Mhm.
that. So they feel like, oh, they have to be perfect in order to make it. Let's see. And then other oriented. Other oriented perfectionism is directed outward. It involves the belief that other people must be perfect. Narcissism. um Directed, I guess it would be like narcissism when the person is not self-oriented, or is not like doing well themselves, but then projects it onto other people. Unrealistic standards for others, evaluate others harshly for their imperfections. So like if a friend normally texts you pretty much like right away when you text them, and then the one time that they don't text you back right away, and you're like, wow, you're the worst friend ever, how dare you? And it's like, bro, what do you mean? Like, I'm sorry, I that one time I didn't do it. um I would say that is a kind of that. So that's that.
Just
I don't
to
know if
answer really quickly a question in the
yeah.
chat, the book that we're talking about is called The Perfection Trap, and this book is by Thomas
Oh, that's from YouTube. Oh, I
Corinne.
didn't see it here on Twitch. Okay. Thank you
Um,
for keeping an eye on the chat. Thank
yeah,
you.
for sure. And thanks for going over those, Hong. I feel like I also want to say there's a lot of information in this book too.
There
So,
is a
yeah, give
lot.
yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Um, let me see what being introverted, it's a reset of the failed process. That's about reshaping the thought process to balance the pattern. Yeah, absolutely. And okay, something else that I wanted to share here too. For those who might be feeling like, is this perfectionism that I'm dealing with? Or is because I think it's very normal to like review and reflect and to see where you could do better. That's normal. That's not necessarily equivalent to perfection. And there's on page 60, there's this analogy that he goes through, and he's like, perfectionism is like running on a treadmill at maximum velocity, and your heart rate starts getting elevated and your body's feeling fatigued and you're feeling overwhelmed, but you're like, I have to go at maximum velocity. I have to. There's no other option. Either this is being pressured onto me by the people around me, like you feel like you have a crowd watching you, or this is being like internalized by yourself. Whatever it may be. I have to keep going at maximum velocity, and I loved it because they were like, "Have you ever fallen off a treadmill before?" I've never fallen off a treadmill, but I think of
I
all the video, like, I'm sure everyone's seen a video of people falling off a treadmill, right? And we don't even necessarily know if those videos are, like, at maximum velocity, but let's say, but keep that image, and, like, you fall off, and then they were like, "Now, have you ever tried to get onto a treadmill after falling off going maximum velocity?" So you're, like, shot off, right? Like,
yeah.
and then you have this expectation for yourself to get back on while this thing is, like, running at maximum velocity. You're exhausted, your heart, like, all the things, and you're, like, expected to jump back on and be performing all the time.
Yeah.
And that one, I literally again, I was like, "Star, me." This is what I've held myself to, of like, get back on. What are you doing? Get back on. Other people are watching. Get back on. You need to be
Mhm.
going 150,000%. Get back on. Like all these things. And then I think the big thing too, when thinking about these definitions, and he does so many great like analogies throughout this book too, which I think is really just like helpful to be able to like identify with it or align. I don't know if I want to say like align, but see yourself in it, right?
Mm.
And oh my gosh, I'm having like a brain fart again. I'm not perfect.
You're good. You're good. This is a
I
safe
don't know if
space.
like that's just like the universe today being like, Kayla. um
But I
anyways,
think, well, I think to your
yeah.
point, like especially using that, like if you imagine like in gyms, right? where all of the treadmills are next to each other, and,
Yes.
like, if you see everyone else is going at, like, max velocity and still keeping up, even though they look, like, terrible, and they look
Mhm.
so exhausted, but they're still on it, then you're like, "Oh, I have to get back on," like, the
Right.
otherwise, I'm either gonna fall behind, or because they're doing it, then I have to be doing that because that's what society expects
Mhm.
from all of us to do.
Right.
Ugh.
The societal pressure, and also to, like, bring this to, like, this is ingrained in us from when we were children. Think about yourself in the classroom setting, right? It might not have been a treadmill, but it was the spelling test, right? "Oh, did you
Yeah.
get 100%? Did you?" You know, this and that. Like, immediately getting graded and, like, maybe you were, like, surrounded by people that were like, "It's not a big deal that you didn't know how to spell that. We'll figure it out," right? But maybe you weren't, and your friend next to you is, like, you know, giving you a hard time about it or, like, tells the whole class that you didn't know how to spell that, right? Um, at the end of the day, that moment in 1st grade or whatever is not the end of the world. And it's not that you're never gonna be able to spell that. But from the perfectionist side, it just becomes this huge spiral that gets out of control and is not a moment of, like, true growth. It's a moment, again, coming back to that idea of, like, shame taking over and taking the driving seat, and ultimately, I feel like holding you hostage from truly being able to grow and flourish.
Yeah, I agree. And
So,
King's Crew asks, but is that
yeah,
self-induced or environmentally induced? I would say, and I want to say the book would agree, although it just kind of it does talk about those three things. Um, I would say initially it's environmentally induced
yeah,
because the system is just built this way to like
right,
pit you against each other. At
right,
least in America. I can't speak for other
yeah,
countries and stuff, but at least in like American public schools, like it is very much pit you against each other. No
mhm,
cheating, no teamwork, just get it done yourself only. Um, and then because now you're already like conditioned to be that way, when you grow up, and even if people tell you like, "Hey, like just chill out, you're gonna be fine, don't worry about it, like it's okay, everything's gonna be okay," you still have this feeling inside you
mhm,
that no, I gotta stay on it, I gotta stay on it, I gotta hustle, I gotta hustle, I gotta hustle. Man, when he talks about hustling in this, I was like, yes, yes. And it
yeah,
sucks because there are people who do have to do that, but then the people who don't have to, but believe they have to, like,
mhm,
that's where it's, like, so painful.
it
Um,
is.
so I would say initially environmentally induced, but then self-induced once you know, then it's like, "Hey, okay, now you're just doing it to yourself," but, again, I mean, in coaching people, I found that it's it kind of like how Thomas talks about this in the book, but, like, there's not just you can't just like affirm this away. You can't just be like, "Oh, it's okay. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm good enough." Like that's not enough because you are so conditioned. It's so like living inside you. Like you need someone to like walk you through how to really resolve all of that crap that you believe about yourself
Mhm,
because of what society, your family, and the environment you grew up in has taught you like this is what you are.
mhm.
And so, it's not something that's easy where you can just be like, "Yeah, okay, I just I'm okay.
I'm just,
I'm
like, a
good."
perfectionist, like, "It's fine, now I know,"
Yeah.
like, it's so much deeper than that.
Yeah, and I would think King's Crew said self-induced can or could be self-preservation. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, again, like, I think that we are built to be perfectionists. Like, our society is built off of this, like, rapid growth, boom, 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 get in or get out, essentially.
Mm.
And if you get out, you're trash. Shame, shame,
Yeah.
shame, 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 right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
feel this, like, like, feel this overwhelming, like, "I gotta get in, I gotta be successful, I gotta follow these things," um, when in reality, it doesn't mean anything. Like, to go where? To do what? For what,
Yeah.
you know? Like, it is so unfair to think that, like, life can just be, like, streamlined, that frankly, I feel like anything can be streamlined. I feel like it's such a disservice to the reality around us. Like, every person, everything is, like, super individualized, and I think that, yes, there are commonalities for sure, but having this idea that we're all exactly the same box and the same system and that we all work the exact same way, and then again, if you don't, then you should be shamed for it, is like what perfectionism is built off of, and it truly thrives on it. And we were talking to the author takes us kind of down this rabbit hole of, like, even marketing, right? It's, perfectionism thrives off of, like, insecurity, feeling like you're not enough, scarcity essentially, right? And so what is all of our marketing? Our marketing is making us feel like shit that we don't look like whatever's being shown to us, or that we can't compete, or that if we did do that, then we would become this. That isn't necessarily the case.
Mhm.
Just because you go on vacation in Hawaii does not mean that you're happy. Just because you have this new cup or whatever, this red cup from an undisclosed place does not necessarily mean that you have happiness and joy and that everything is like, your house could be on fire, right? It does not mean that this red cup is gonna fix that, right? And so, that especially with, like, the holidays coming around too, really just, like, I was like, "Whoa, like, look at all these ads and everything that's around us," and it's just, again, pulling at these strings of, like, "You're not enough," like, "Strive for this. If you do this, then you'll become that." Like, says who? Says
Mhm.
who? And it's all a part of this, like, society built off perfectionism, built off of, you need to hit this level to be equal to this, which is not true.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect because I was hold on, also let me put a little bit of music in it.
Yeah.
But when we talk about like self-preservation, it's like self-preservation at a survival level of like bare necessities.
Mhm.
I don't think most people are not even close to that level of needing to like self-induce perfectionism
Yeah.
to be to self-preserve themselves, like to survive essentially. Like a lot of it is like self-preservation. It may feel that way, but like you said, because of all the marketing, all the ads, all of the
Yeah, everything
consumerism that we
making you
have, where
think.
it's like where it's like you might be good here, but then it's always telling you, hey, but this is really where you need to be. And then even when you get there, there's, oh well, look, now this is where you actually really need to be. And then you get there and there's like, well, actually this is where, and then it just like
Yes.
never ends. You always feel like you're just surviving, but really you were good the whole time. Like you had
Right.
everything you needed to be successful, to do all the things, whatever.
Mhm.
But because there's always this like, no, you could be better, you could be better, you could be better, you could be better. It may feel like self-preservation because you're always being told and sold that
Mhm.
you always need to be better and this is the thing you need that will get you there, but it never gets you there. It
No,
never does.
it
And
doesn't.
then they're like, oh, but by the way, guess what, if that didn't work for you, then really what you needed was this version of it, or
Right.
oh, look at this other version of it, or oh,
Mhm.
actually we have this extra tier that's what you really need. And I would say that there are some things that maybe, yes, like you start here, then you get like the next level, whatever. Like, I believe there are some things out there that are like that, where it's like, you start at beginner, then you go to intermediate, and then you go to advanced.
Sure.
Sure. But
Mhm.
most of the crap that we are buying into is not even close to that. It's just, look, it's just this thing, but now instead of, I don't know, like just these like 4 minerals in it. Now it has 5 minerals. And oh, that's really the thing. But they don't tell you about that thing initially. They tell you about the thing
Mhm.
at the bottom to get you in.
Right.
Anyways, it's just
Yeah, it's like, if you think about, like, you're like, "Hey, I" have you ever, like, rented a car and you go into the car rental place? This could even be buying a car, whatever, buying anything, right? And you go in and you're like, "Hey, yes, I want the base model because I'm just trying to get from A to B. All I need is gas and a thing that moves." And they're like, "But, like, you could have the BMW." for just, like, this much more a month, and, like, imagine, like or, like, what about the convertible? Like, just imagine it, you know? And then
Kayla,
you're
stop
like,
adding
"Well
me. I can't.
well, like, how much is it?" Like, you know? And then but that's how everything is. That's how literally everything is. You all you need is the car and the gas. No matter how many accessories and, like, all the things you add to it is not gonna change you getting from there to there. You're
Um,
still gonna get from there to there.
I'm
So
definitely the person who goes into the goes to the dealership and goes,
sorry.
I want the, like, most fanciest, like, looking thing. I want it to look really cool. I wanna feel really good driving it. It needs all
Ah,
the bells and whistles. So I was just like, "Oh god, no, no,
I'm
SUV.
sorry, I did not mean
Let me
to
get out of here."
but again, like and
Um,
that's not to say that you can't have preferences. You absolutely can have preferences. Again, this is where, like, you have to but that's where you have to define it for yourself, right? Because, yeah, if that's your preference for cars, cool, whatever. But, like, how if that's how everything is in your life, though, that it always has to be at that maximum again, coming back, like, if you always have to be maximum velocity on your treadmill, shit's gonna hit the fan, you're gonna fall off, it's gonna feel like shit, you can totally go at, like, 2 miles per hour with, like, a soft little walk and, like, still freaking kill it, you know?
Man, I didn't feel like
Sorry.
this book was, like, really, really, really talking to me until you just, like, said all of that stuff, and I'm like, "Ugh," and then, and my wife, she mentioned that too, and she was like, "Well, you're always like, you gotta have, like, the nicest thing, or it's always like, it's never enough. You gotta like, oh, well, there's this other thing, we should just spend the money on this, and, like, why not? It's gonna be better," or whatever, and I'm like, well, thankfully, now I have a better relationship with my finances and just, like, things
Mhm.
in general, so now I'm like,
Sure.
"Okay, look, we can use this until it breaks and it's done, and
Mhm.
then we can get something new."
Yeah.
But definitely before that, I was so much into this, like, I gotta have the best. I wanna have the flashy thing. I wanna have that cool, like, even my computer has like all the RGB stuff, like all of the colors and everything. Um, Even when I buy monitors, like I want monitors that look nice. And even though I'm staring at like just the front of it, I don't even see the back. But like, oh, what if I'm walking in and then I just see it and I'm like, oh, that looks so cool, like whatever. Like nobody's looking at it though. But
Mhm.
it's like for me, like I feel like I gotta have it, but I don't need it. It could be literally anything. I could have like a simple curved monitor, whatever, and like it would be fine. Like you said, like it would be okay. Like getting headphones, getting cups, getting whatever the thing is. Like we are good. We can be good with just the basic model.
Mhm. Yeah. Not we can be, we are good.
We are good.
We
Yes.
are
Thank
good
you for the reframe. Yes, we are good.
because, like, again, and that like, that's where it tricks us. It's like adding "but" into things, right? Like, I want but it could be so much better, right? Cut that,
Yeah.
and let's start replacing our "buts" with "and." Right? And I think that that allows too, like, even just, like, that simple reframe too of, like, changing our butts to ands, right? Like, I feel really pressured to have, like, a really nice computer setup and be able to see from the backside that it looks really nice, and that's okay.
Well, I think as long as it's within your means too, right? Like
Yeah,
that's the other part of it
absolutely.
too.
Right.
Um,
Because that's where you can,
yeah,
like, fall off the treadmill and, like, be bleeding, and you're like, "But I gotta get back on because that's what I created because I had to have blah, 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 blah," right?
yes. Like all the people I see who are like, "Oh my god, I have trouble paying my rent," or "Oh my gosh, I'm not sure." But then I see they're spending like hundreds and thousands of dollars
Mhm.
on concert tickets
Mhm.
or going on crazy vacations, and I'm like,
Mhm.
but why? Like you literally on Facebook or whatever, you're always talking about how you're always broke and you don't make enough money. And it's like, and Thomas Krent also talks about this, and I highlighted that as well. But just like the idea that like in order to maintain the lifestyle you want, like, oh, I'm gonna have to work really hard to do this, whatever. But then people again like have this that would be what? That would be the socially prescribed perfectionism or the
Mhm.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
self-oriented, kind of like a mix of the 2 where it's like, well, if I don't go with my friends to this concert that we all love, like this artist or whatever, then I'm gonna miss out on something, or they're gonna think I'm less than because I couldn't go. Or like, well, why didn't I sacrifice my finances to go on this thing? Why didn't I max out my credit card so I could go on this thing? And it's just like, like, but it's okay. And then if our friendships are based on literally just that, then it's like, well, then we have to like reevaluate friendships and just all of these things. And it's it's just so much easier. You know what? I'm gonna just count me in. Let's go. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're also gonna get a hotel. And you're like, okay, cool. How are we gonna like split that? Okay, cool, great. But then you don't say anything because you don't want to like be that odd one out.
Mhm.
It's just
But are you the odd one out, or is just no one else saying that because they feel
because they all
socially
feel that way.
prescribed to not
Yeah.
care and not have, right?
Yeah.
Like, again,
Yes.
I think, again, we continue to, like, lie to ourselves that, like, no one else is dealing with this, or, like, I'm the only one, right? Like, no, you're not. We all have struggles, we all have hardships in one way or another, and, there's a part in the book too where he talks about how perfectionism like violently amplifies moments of vulnerability, and it takes those vulnerabilities and just like puts them like turns them into like the scariest, most worst thing ever. And again, what's all about perfectionism is it's this deficit and then it's this like need to hide, right? So if you feel like these like vulnerabilities are giant monsters and then trying
Mhm.
to hide them, like again, come comes back around to this like whole issue of burnout and overwhelm and shutting down and like the beautiful spiral that is perfectionism. So,
Yes.
yeah, I want to. So, King's Crew brought up again the definition of self induced versus environmentally induced. Do we want to define those again?
I was asking for it. So he did say so like, okay, for me, his shop was his self-preservation, created the self-induced calculated risk or his perceived perfection versus failure, which created the reputation, which is also environmental. And I would say, like, again, like in these moments, it's not, I would say this is not necessarily like, it's funny because Thomas also talks about the like toxic perfectionism versus like the not toxic perfectionism. But I think
Mhm.
not toxic perfectionism isn't actually perfectionism. It's just, hey, I want to build a strong reputation. Like, let's say for King's Crew's scenario, for instance, like, all right, wanted to start a business, wants to have a solid reputation. Like, okay, then in order to do that, then he needs to show up in a specific way to make sure that he builds that reputation. Then he
Mhm.
does. But I think during that whole time, as long as, again, like you're able to go and look back and go like, wow, I did so much and I am successful. Because as far as I know, like he is very successful. Like he has a lot of clients, customers, and so because of that reputation that he's built. But if he would look at it and then go, oh my gosh, like, but it's still not enough. I still need to do more. I still need to do more. Like, even if his like, I don't know, like, even if all of his appointments are booked, even if his garage is full of bikes and he's just working on them, getting through them, and like he has constant like workflow coming in. Like if he would look at that and go, no, but it's still not enough. And it's like, dude, like you're doing it. You're fine. Like all the bills are paid. All the things are great. He could go on vacation if he wants to, and everything would be fine. Like everything is great. But like when you stop thinking that way and you start thinking to like, or you stop accepting and appreciating the things that you have done and yourself because of how far you've gotten, because you really like dug in, you did what you needed to do to be successful. If you're not doing that, then that's when it turns into that like toxic perfectionism. And
Mhm.
really, like, it's not a bad thing to want to strive to be the best. It's just understanding that while that may be the target, if you hit just under that, and maybe you're not the best, but you're like the third person, like in that line or whatever, then that's good enough. Like as long as you're meeting all of
Yeah.
your goals, like at a minimum or whatever, like that's the goal. Like you aim there, understanding you're going to get here, and that's fine. Like that's what you're looking for. But a lot of people don't know how to aim here and be okay with here. They still aim here and they're only okay with here. But it's like,
Mhm.
no, then you need to aim higher, but then you can only aim so high because
Right.
then it's
At
anyways.
what
So then that's where
cost?
like it gets into that like slippery slope of just oh well, I'm not toxically perfect, but like, I just a little bit more, just a little bit more. I'm just gonna keep aiming higher, 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 and higher and higher, and then you're just never catching it. But like catch it, hit that plateau for a little bit, go, okay, this is great, this is wonderful, and then all right, now what's my next thing? Okay, cool, now let me jump. um but anyway, so yeah, and again, like I think in these situations with like King's Cruise business specifically, there is that environmentally induced perfectionism where I am expecting, because I'm putting my life on the line by letting someone handle either my body or my motorcycle or my car, like, hey, please fix this, make this better and safe for me to use. Then there is that, but within that, that's why there's so many like technical things. There's so many like checklists that King's Crew might not even know that they're going through, or they like consciously,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of like safety checks that they're going through to make
Right.
sure everything is good. And that's why all
Mhm.
those systems are in place to make sure. So that way he doesn't have to stress about, oh my God, did I miss this? Did I miss that? Did I whatever? Like you go through that systematically because there is that expectation because of the type of work it is. But
Mhm.
someone could be taking that same thought process and going to, like, let's say I have like a receptionist job and it's like, oh my God, I missed that one appointment. Oh, I'm gonna like, oh, everything's like gonna fall apart. Oh my God, I'm a terrible person. Like, okay, calm down, relax, take some deep breaths. It's okay. Just call the person back or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, okay, now you got it. Okay, cool. Like, now let's work on it. It's fine.
Mhm. I
Um,
think, I love everything that you're explaining. I feel like it's so helpful. I also wanna say, like, I don't think that having expectations, or striving for creating a reputation or, like, assessing risks makes you a perfectionist. I think what makes you a perfectionist is holding yourself to a standard that you can't that's I think one thing that really stood out for me from this book was, like, perfection is impossible. And if you think
right,
that perfection is possible, you're crazy because it's not. We are
right.
human. We can do all the things that we've done all the right, we have all the sciences and everything now as humans that we've created to try to calculate and all these things, but the reality is we are imperfect. We live in an imperfect world. If you think that perfection is achievable, like, you're setting yourself up for failure. And the perfectionist says, "No, I'm
I will get
perfect."
there.
Get there.
I am there and I will be there
I will
always
be
and
there,
forever,
and I
and you
can
will
do
also be
that,
there.
and I don't know, you're actually just less than because you think that you can achieve it, but actually you can, right?
Well, deep down, they, like, hate their life and they're just, like, super empty and they
All the
just don't
things,
like.
right? And so that was something that really stuck out for me because I was like, "Oh, shit." Like, yeah, I've totally been doing that my whole life of just, like, thinking
Yeah,
that I can hit perfect when it's not achievable, and why am I setting that standard up for myself when it's literally, like, a bar that isn't achievable?
yeah,
Now, having a good reputation is achievable, right? Treating your customers with care and respect is achievable, right? Having every single person you encounter as a customer love you, not
yeah.
not necessarily. Right?
Yes,
And I think, again, like, that's why we have to go through and, like, check in, like, where am I? What is the bar that I'm setting for myself, and is it something that is truly achievable? And being able to check in, and I think that that's where, like, self-induced can come in, right? Or it might be environmentally induced in the sense that other people are assuming that because you have a shop that you know everything and that you have to have every answer under the sun.
mhm,
Well, no. At the end of the day, you are a human. You might be super amazing at your craft, but every single little teeny hair maybe. I don't know, actually. I'm not gonna say no, but I'm not gonna hold you to that. As a human who understands that we are imperfect, I'm not gonna hold you to that standard, but that might be environmentally induced by other people holding that expectation to you, right?
yeah,
Which I think is super unfair and is just why this is such a shit show, because you get yourself going from one side and then you get the world going from the other, and then it's just like, and another thing that really stood out for me too, so perfection, we come from it from the side that it's not achievable, and again, that can feel really stark. What is achievable is greatness. What is achievable, being good enough. What is a reality are these things, right? Perfection, no. It's like going into the forest and expecting it to be perfect. It's a forest. Sometimes it's going to be on fire. Sometimes it's going to have a lot of rain and it's going to grow a lot. Sometimes it's going to have no rain and it's going to be dry and it's going to be, right? Like, there's so many factors. Like, we have to, I feel like, even see ourselves as like that forest or garden or whatever, right? And it's so unfair to assume that the forest is constantly going to be green and constantly be growing and flourishing with growth. Well, that's not how the world works. Sometimes shit needs to burn. Sometimes things need to be cleared out, right? Sometimes people come through and create their own trail, right? Like, things happen, right? And it's so unfair to hold yourself to the expectation that things are going to be green and shiny and glowing all the freaking time. It's just not reality. And the sooner that we can come to that understanding, the easier it is to be able to then walk into the world and be able to provide that compassion and that care to others, and then eventually, hopefully, to ourselves. So,
yeah. I mean, even when I originally made the video posts and I was in Lake Tahoe, and one of the things that's always been told to me is like, nature is not perfect. So why are we always trying to be unnatural?
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at like forests, you look at trees, like some trees have branches that are just like all over the place, and it's like, what the heck is going on? And then some have like two trees, like two trunks coming out of it. Some are like, they're not in like nice, neat little rows growing, like, unless you're at an orchard, where then we do that because like whatever, because we're humans and we want things to be lined up and efficient. But naturally, they don't occur that way. It's just wherever the seeds land, that's where you're going to be a tree now. Okay, cool, great. And then maybe one tree takes over all the water and nutrients from another tree, and then that tree dies, and it's like, it just happens. It's natural. But yeah, it's crazy.
It is. Perfection is unnatural, and again, so unfair to hold yourself to that standard. Like, think about what is natural, because again, holding that standard is going to lead to severe burnout. And something else that I really love, so not only did Thomas Curran say, is it Curran? Curran, I think. Curran, thanks. Yeah. Thomas Curran said, he mentioned about how it's not only like perfection isn't achievable, but it's also, we have this like skewed idea that it's like more efficient and that it yields to more greatness, and like that you're gonna be, if you're perfect, then like you're gonna get success. And actually, there is no correlation through all these studies that he did with like students and whatnot. They were worse. And again, felt so called out, because as much as I want to hold myself to this like I'm perfect standard, I've always felt I'm either on or I'm off. And that's exactly what he described here, right? Perfectionist, you're either hitting that perfect target, or it's a freaking crap storm and it's a hot mess and you feel like crap and it's all the things, right? And the amount of times where like things feel like perfection are normally like this much, and like the times when it feels like shit are like this much, right? And so again, it honestly just, I kind of felt really sad for myself actually when reading this book for a little bit, because I've been so stuck in this cycle of like, and like not really being able to figure out and pinpoint that the issue was my perfectionism and was my need to be perfect, rather than just simply resting and coming to terms with good enough.
Yeah.
And how really my perfectionism is my biggest enemy. It is not my supporter. It does not have my back. It does not care about me. It does not want me to be my best, because I have to be perfect. That's where it wants me, which is not achievable.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even here. It's just,
no,
it's
just It's not even
nowhere.
like over here. Perfect
Yeah.
is like just ridiculous. It's not even on the table,
Yeah,
right? It's
not even in the universe.
unnatural. Like
There's nothing. It's nowhere.
it's nowhere. And yeah, it really is like your biggest enemy, and it's not there to support you. What is there to support you is doing your best, is self-compassion, is grace, is the things that are able to actually like fuel and support you in those moments where you do feel like,
yeah.
I failed. But you know what? That's okay. Instead of, again, the burnout, I gotta get back on the treadmill. I gotta go. No, I can't take a minute to rest. I can't. I have to get back on. And you're bleeding and all the things. And like people, then talk about people looking at you and like feeling, people are like, whoa, hot mess coming through, right? And we can keep the facade going only for so long. And really, I think that that's where perfectionists strive, is like keeping the facade going of like, yeah, everything's perfect, everything's fine. Like you get asked the question, how are you doing? Oh yeah, I'm doing all right.
Yeah. Oh, everything's fine.
I brushed my hair today. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing fine, you know, and being able to keep that going. But again, only for so long, because what's underneath that is unsustainable. It's unnatural.
And I think I think when people think about what is perfect, I mean, I think maybe where we got a little bit off of it was when someone who was satisfied with life was like, this is perfect. What's perfect? What do you mean? Like, what does that mean? And then like, oh, well, you know, I'm just saying like, you know, this is good. You know, like, oh, my family's healthy. I'm here. I have a job, whatever the case is. Like, you know, everything is good right now. It's peaceful. This is perfect. This is what I want. You know, like perfection could be something very simple, but then the ads, the everything, society took it and was, or not even society, but like the ad machine, the network, like they took it and then just like turned it into this crazy thing that is just like, now it's like, now perfection is actually, this is perfect, exactly what we filmed here, made it exactly how we wanted it. That is perfection, but that doesn't exist in the real world,
right?
Or if it does, like maybe those tiny moments, like you mentioned, like those singular moments that are happening, just like gone, like those were those perfect moments where it's like, you know, when you see like the vision of the family and they're all like around the table and everybody's just laughing, like that is like a perfect moment. But it's not going to look how it does in the thing. Like it looks different for everybody. But then you get sold this whole other idea of like, well, perfect isn't just like, oh my gosh, we could all share a laugh in this moment. Like perfection is really like, oh, your family gets together and they're all just wonderful and getting along, and you know, this is what it should be like, right? Like that's what you get sold. But that one moment, that moment of just like, hey, things are peaceful right now, everything's good, that's that perfect moment. I think that is something that people could strive for. If you want to, like, if you still want to be a perfectionist, like your perfectionism should just be like,
don't tell them if they still want to be a perfectionist.
Look,
no, you're trying to make this perfect for them. It's not perfect.
Some people want to be perfectionists, you know. I think because, you know, when I think about it, like I try to avoid damning one idea to support another. So I'm like, okay, like, but perfect could be this, but then you really have to make it that, and it cannot be this crazy thing that is not there. And if you don't reach it, then it's okay, and you should be good, because a failure doesn't mean you didn't get to where you wanted to go. Like, what does failure even mean to you? You know, like Robert Winter said, failure is part of success. Without it, we don't learn what there is to correct, and your perfect is different than mine because no one is perfect. Exactly, because perfection does not exist. Although a form of good enough exists.
Yes.
But for some people, that is perfect. Oh, well, it was good enough. This is our minimum viable product. This is the minimum I need to be happy. Cool. I have achieved that. That is perfect. That's good enough. Like, cool, great. And I think a lot of people too, when they think of failure, they think of, well, failure is coming in second. Or not, and not even like by a long shot. It's like failure is coming in second, even if by a second you were second place. That is failure. It's like, no, you didn't fail. You did your best. You didn't get first place, And now, okay, now let's learn, right? What do we need to correct? If you really want to get first, okay, then what do we need to correct? How do we need to show up?
Yep.
It's like when the cornhole tournament was happening with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I think we talked about this at like a meeting or something or whatever, and it was like the idea that, or maybe it was the confidence training, I don't remember, but something where it was like, look, if you want to be like, if you want to win the cornhole tournament, then like setting clear expectations. Okay, if you want to do that, then here's the work you're going to need to put in order to get there. And then even if you don't win, then okay, then how do we set up for next time? Okay, do we need to practice more? Do we need to practice differently? Like whatever the case is. But again, the goal is not necessarily to have a perfect game. It's just, oh, I just want to win. Okay, cool, great. But then that winning can't be like this thing where it's now like, oh, if I don't get first place, or if I don't get second, or I don't get third, oh my God, my life is over. I'm a failure. Forget it. I'll never play cornhole ever again. Like, this is just the worst thing. And it's like, okay, like, calm down. Let's relax. Let's refocus. I think what is good enough? Like,
when hearing you say that, the first thing that comes up is like, things have to be achievable, and perfection is not achievable. And so when you go into your goal setting, or we're not saying don't set goals, we're not saying don't shoot high, but also make sure as you do that you recognize that it's attainable, right? Like that's what we're trying to share with you guys. And then also another thing that they that we heard in the book, they talked about how they had people indicate whether or not they were like self-defined perfectionists, and I think they were cyclists, right? And they had them come in and they told them, we're having you compete, and and what they did, they weren't competing with anybody. It was just like them and themselves. But they made them think it was this whole competition. They were like, you lost. No matter how well they did, they're like, you lost. Would you like to come in and try again? No, whatever. Do you want to just come in and try again? And people who identified as perfectionists, if they did decide to actually come in to do it again, because some of them were just like, no, screw this. Like, I suck. I already lost. Why would I try again? Then they would, like, those who identified as perfectionists did way worse, because they just automatically were like, well, I suck. I'm not perfect. Why even try? Where the person who had the mindset of seeking greatness or good enough, they were able to actually do better with a second chance, because they saw that as not a highlight of their vulnerability, but they saw it as an opportunity for them to strive towards their greatness, if that makes sense. So again, I think that that's like a key difference here of like being able to identify like the difference between like perfectionists and perfect and excellence / greatness / good enough, right? Being willing to try again. And I think that these are all ways that we can like fight this like perfectionist trap, right? That of falling into and tumbling in and feeling, right, is like saying like, I'm good enough, or this is good enough, or I tried this and I sucked at it and I'm going to try again, right? Like being able to step into those instead of just being like, I suck, I'm never going to do this again, or I can't move because I suck so bad and I just like, or I'm so burnt out or whatever, or I can't keep up this facade because I just suck. I think that's like the big difference between, and like perfectionism really is such like an so extreme. So yeah, I think those are just things to like keep in mind when reflecting on this.
Yeah, 100%. I think like also like saying things like, this is acceptable, this is good, like, those are great also phrases to start adding. And then also sometimes when I'm like planning something, or maybe we might do something like if like my wife and I might go out, and then we might think of that and go, oh man, you know what we really should have done? Oh, we should have done this. And I've tried to start focusing now more on just like, hey, next time we can do this. So that way we're not like regretting the fact that we didn't do this thing. It's like, hey, next time we should try this out, or next time can we try this? Like, okay, cool, great. Because then that is that like more positive growth kind of mindset where it's like, hey, next time we could make this better, and I think this is what we could try to make it better. Not necessarily that, well, this will make it better, because we still have to test it out and see, like, that's fine. So that kind of what you were talking about kind of made me think about that too, like,
Yeah.
we can,
how are we reframing these things to like still be present with this moment that I'm in and not completely disregard it,
yes,
sit with it, however it feels or wherever it's at, and just like honor it, as opposed to crumpling it up and throwing it away because it didn't hit that perfection that we convinced ourselves that it could achieve.
Yeah, that we needed to achieve. We thought we needed to achieve.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I wanna kind of talk about this quote from the book. So this talks about the growth mindset thing. So I kind of mentioned it earlier, that he talks about this, and it says, the growth mindset, it seemed to me, was a powerful corrective strategy to the rigid behaviors and irrational beliefs that characterize perfectionism, which I would agree. And then he says, after all, growth is about all those controllable goodies: process, challenge, learning, development, and so on. This mindset, in which we're always carrying our setbacks forward or failing better, so to speak, provides the foundation for a fuller and more intrinsically satisfying life. And I was like, yes, see, he loves it. He likes the growth mindset. And then he says, but then I wrote the book. And the more I thought about growth, the more I felt that this mindset was not all it seems. For one thing, I don't really want my mind to be set on anything, even if it is supposedly healthy. The rigidity of that imperative is just as inhibiting as the thing it's supposed to be correcting. But more important than that, pitting striving for growth against striving for perfection misses the point. Just like the growth is everything economy it came from, a growth is everything mindset can only allow us to grow. And that means when we stumble, hit a setback, run into a roadblock, or simply screw up, we need to turn those very ordinary experiences of failure into something else, anything else, that signifies growth. And that's kind of what we talked about in the beginning, where I was like, a growth mindset is good, but when it's only growth, it's only learning. Just what did you learn? What did you learn? What did you learn? What did you learn? It's like, okay, yes, that's helpful. Next, not now. Now, let me deal with the fact that, like, man, this kind of sucks. It's a bummer. And, like, let me be in it a little bit. Not stuck in it, but in it for a little bit. And then, okay, now I'm in a mindset to, let's look at how can this be better? What can I do differently next time? Or what can we do differently next time? And I think in, like, in leadership, that's always a big thing, where it's like, when you think about great leaders, it's always that, hey, I'll take the blame for everything. I take ownership of everything, but I still give everyone else the power to help me make decisions. Like, when things go great, I give it all to you. Hey, y'all did a great job. When things don't go right, I go, ooh, you know what? Yeah, I'll make sure that I work on that with the team, or whatever the case is. And it's kind of like that same mindset where it's just, if I say we are going to get through this, or what can we do better, then no matter what, for anyone on the team, if there's one person who maybe, like, they were the key decision or something on something, but again, we're all a team, so we didn't say, hey, maybe that might not work, like, maybe we should try this, or, can we look at it this way? And so together we still failed as a team just as much as we succeed as a team together. And as a leader, I help facilitate that kind of a dynamic amongst the team, where it's, hey, we are going to get through this together. How are we going to do this? How are we going to figure out this solution? Or how are we going to whatever, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so, like, I think with that in mind, because again, just like most things, and I told you, like, I have building out my list of, like, phrases that are, like, very misunderstood, or we apply them terribly. Growth mindset is one of those things where it's like, it can be toxically, let's just always move forward, and never look back. Like, no, calm down, slow down. Like, we gotta, let's be a little more natural in this. Let's take some time, and we can still move forward. It's just in its time, kind of thing. I don't know. What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. I really think it comes down to like a process. Like, how are you? What is your process? If you're, like you said, if your process is just growth, and if you think that if you plant a seed and just expect it to grow, like that is so unfair to this poor plant, because that is just not reality. And I think that's why, when I was younger, my early 20s, I felt like I followed all the rules, all the expectations. I did all the things. I went to college. I did this. I did that, right? And I got the job, and now I should be happy. And then life was like, no, you're just not good enough. You need to be perfect, Kayla. And I was like, I'm literally doing everything that I possibly can to be perfect, and it's not enough. And I had that really hard realization in my early 20s that like it's just never going to be good enough. And so I had a lot of my own personal gripes with like corporate America and whatnot, because it's just like, no matter what you do today, it might have been perfect, but tomorrow it's a new day, and you're not, and you're just trash again.
Oh no.
And you're not growing like you were yesterday, and now we don't care about you, and you're just a number on the list, right? And so I think that was kind of my, I don't know, real life experience with just, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, of just having that like bomb, I feel like, dropped on me, that I thought that if I had followed all the rules that everything would be perfect.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Yep.
And so all of that to say, I ended up, cutting my job, and the pandemic happened during that time, which I think was kind of pandemic was complicated, right? Because there was a lot of loss and whatnot. But I think the beautiful thing is that we had to stop growing. We had to like literally stop. The whole like world had to stop. And I think he also mentioned that how like people were like bringing up like, well, what's like, if we stay open, if we keep businesses open, then we'll only see, 500,000 deaths instead of, 400,000
Yes.
deaths, right? And like how like the world was like willing to like, when it was like, we shouldn't, like, can we have like no deaths? Can that be like the benchmark? Or does that have to be, anyways, right? It becomes kind of like all these ethical issues, so to say, even though maybe I don't know, people dying, I feel like shouldn't be necessarily a reason to an ethical issue. But anyways, all that to say, the pandemic happened for me. I had time to stop and slow down, and I really saw the beauty in stopping and slowing down. And that's why I ended up falling in love with the moon phases. And that's become my process of being able to, the new moon, you set an intention. With the waxing moon, you take that action. You have that time for movement, for growth, for whatever it is, with that intention that you set. Then we have the full moon. That's a time to honor, celebrate things that came to fruition, and also celebrate things that died, that didn't come, that maybe aren't ever gonna come, or maybe they are coming but they aren't there yet. It's just like a time to like honor. And then you have that time for rest and reflection that I think that we miss so much, like so much. And that's why I really love the moon phases. And it's actually been so hard to figure out a way to incorporate it with our society. And I think that is essentially the reason why it feels so freaking hard, is because our society completely rejects that and just wants the waxing moon, the action, the growth, the movement, the movement, and
the hustle,
no other time for intention, no other time for celebration, and definitely not time for rest. And So yeah, it's been a journey working on, and then also like as a perfectionist, like just fighting like all these things that have been like ingrained in me, to like be perfect and do all the things when no. It is enough. Your rest is enough. Your time for celebration is enough. Your setting intentions is enough. It's not all about that action stage. And so yeah, I just
And I
appreciate
think
this
like
book for bringing that to light.
and I think like kind of two things from what you mentioned. Like, I think one, the idea of like when you said like into being perfect and doing all the things, and then if you think about how many things that people in their lives are trying to be perfect about, and it's already tough and miserable to try and be perfect at one thing, but then if you juggle all of the other things, the other parts of your life that you're also trying to be perfect at the same time, and then like how if you're already it's like almost like you're trying to run like 5 treadmills at max velocity as one person, and you're not an octopus. You know, like we're
You
not.
only have 2 legs.
You only have 2
And you're
legs, so
trying
you
to have
can't.
10.
Yes. You know, like if you know, if you believe in God or the universe, like we were not created with more than 2 arms and 2 legs. Like, so there must be a reason for that. We should probably focus on like 1 or 2 things maybe at a time. And if you really want to be perfect, do 1 or 2 things perfectly.
Right. If you wanna, yeah.
But I think also like it's like the journey
Mhm.
of being better, and it's like the appreciation of that journey.
Yes.
Kind of like with the woodworking stuff. Or I was even thinking like when I was reading a book about like the flow state and how to like be in the flow state, like even when you're just like doing things like folding the laundry or doing the dishes, that there's just like little things that you're like, oh well, maybe if I fold them this way, then this would be better or more efficient, or like, okay, cool. But then it's like a fun way for me to just explore and see and kind of have this like fun interaction relationship with this seemingly mundane task. And I think that's where people get so focused maybe on the outcome of the thing that they forget like, well, okay, but what about the process to get there?
Yes, yeah.
Like that was something that just like popped in my mind when you were talking. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, because we get so focused on that, and then we're not even thinking about like, well, I want to still enjoy the journey there. We don't even care about it. We're just like, no, it's gonna be miserable, just suck it up, like whatever. And then so you just, because you already accept that, then your journey to that outcome is gonna be so miserable. And then when you get there, if you get there, then you look back and you go, this was a terrible experience. I absolutely hated this. And then maybe that's why people feel so empty when they get there, because they're like, well, the whole journey here was trash and I hated it. So that's why I don't give a crap about how I got here or what I achieved, because the whole time I was miserable. Why did I do this? And then you do it again because you're like, okay, well, maybe I just didn't do it right this time. I didn't do it perfect enough. Okay, let me do this. Let me go on to the next thing, and then I'll do it that way. But then you do it the same way, and it's just like, oh no.
It's just like the slow dropping tear of just like, maybe if I, you know, and it's like, no, what you did was so great. Look at how far you came, right? Like, there was, and like another book that I read that when I like first was becoming a
Kayla, we're only talking about this book right now. We can't talk about other books.
Yeah.
What's in our contract?
It is relevant. But they were talking about I think it was actually Brene Brown's book. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. Love
Brene
her.
Brown is always allowed. Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
She's so great. Anyways, they were talking about what creates greatness. What is greatness, right? Forget perfection, right? What is greatness? And so greatness is all the little steps in between A and B, right? They were talking about the example of like Olympians, right? Is an Olympian only great when they get the gold medal and they are on top of the podium?
Yes, Kayla,
is that the only time when they're great?
That's the
or was their greatness every time they showed up to, we'll say swimmers, every time they showed up to the pool? Every single time they showed up to practice, every time they showed up to a competition, every time they, I don't know, decided to stretch, whatever it may be, like every single one of those moments is what is greatness and what makes up greatness. It's not just that one single time that they showed up at the Olympics or like whatever and they just like happened to kill it and like get a gold medal. That's not greatness. Greatness is all those moments that led to whatever it is, right?
So then what would you say to someone who's like, okay, Kayla, like I get that, but that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just showing up really intensely, and I may feel burned out now, but like I'm just trying to get to my podium. Like what would you say to like someone like that who's
Well, you
like,
have it wrong because you should want to show up to the pool because you want to show up to the pool. You shouldn't want to show up to the pool because you want to be an Olympian. And if you're able to switch that and learn to fall in love with showing up and trying and messing up and doing all of those things, you're going to be able to enjoy everything so much more. And I do think actually maybe able to sustain getting to the podium. But if you just have it set that like me going to the pool is not enough, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, you're gonna burn yourself out. You're doing harm. Harm does not get you on the podium. And I think that that's what the perfection trap highlights so well, is that the idea of perfection is a trap. It is grabbing you, sucking you in, you fall in, you're creating harm, you're creating shame. It is not actually leading to greatness in any way whatsoever. So do yourself the service of jumping off that train, pulling yourself out, and allow yourself to fall in love with the process. Allow yourself to remember that like what you're doing right now is good enough. You are so worthy of that. And it's going to ultimately lead you to excellence and greatness, or like you doing those things is excellent and is greatness, not achieving whatever.
That was a really great answer, man. You like just like popped that off like that. Also, that was not scripted.
No, it wasn't.
That was just straight off the cuff.
I'm just speaking to myself, you know.
That was really good. I loved it.
So.
I love that answer, and I think again, like it goes back to like the carpenter, and like it's like it was just the love of making beautiful furniture for people, like families, in the neighborhood or whoever it was, and like that was the reason. And so I feel like then people, when you start to feel burnt out, you really need to stop and ask yourself, why am I here? What is my actual purpose for being here? Do I actually love what I'm doing? And if the answer is no, and you're getting burnt out and you're putting in these hours, you're doing this stuff with no light at the end of your tunnel, like you don't even know what the end of the tunnel is, then really looking at, okay, what do I need to be doing then? And it might not be quitting your job, like Kayla and I have done. Like it could be, okay, let me find something. What do I actually love, and then go do that thing. And you know, slowly work your way towards that, or whatever the case is, you know, because I think a lot of times too, people talk about like, oh well, don't do what you love for work because then you're gonna hate it, because then it becomes work. And it's like, well, I think it could feel that way, but only if you forget that, look, you need to do what you love. Like great artists, they don't necessarily, I mean, I don't think they're necessarily thinking about, oh, how much money I'm going to sell this for. They go, well, I'm going to make this because this is what speaks to me. And then people, because they've put in that effort and that love, that energy into it, people will go, oh my gosh, wow, like this is so cool. And then the money will come and like all that stuff, which is what other people say then. Like, well, yeah, do what you love because then you'll never work a day in your life and the money will come. But then you have those other people who are like, no, don't do that because then you're going to hate it and you won't want to do it anymore because now you have to do it for other people.
That's a perfectionist speaking, just saying.
Yeah.
I've heard that too. I mean, I 100% like lived my entire life like doing the things that everyone, like all all that advice that you just said in regards to like, don't do the thing that you love, because if you do, then you're gonna hate it, and then do the thing that's gonna make money, or do, you know, meet this means, and like, no. Okay, respectfully, like, people, have you ever like gone into like, I don't know, let's come back to like the car example, right? Have you ever gone into a dealership and like met with someone who is so desperate to sell a car? And have you gone into a dealership and met someone who's actually really passionate about you finding what it is that you need?
Yes.
There is a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Huge difference, yes.
Huge difference. And I think that this even comes back to like thinking about Rich here and like his shop, right? Like there's going to be a huge difference between a motorcycle mechanic that is doing this to make money and one who's doing this to create a, I don't know, whatever, like a loving place for people to ask whatever questions they need and get their bikes fixed with care and trust, right? There's a huge difference. And I think this just comes back to, what is your intention? What is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it that means to the end? Or is it because you actually care? And actually caring, I don't think includes perfection. I know it doesn't include perfection.
Do you think, well, okay, maybe we should get back to the book a little bit more. I sound like talking, but so one thing I do want to mention, so one thing that Thomas talks about in the book is about how education, because you talked about that, like how education used to be this thing that was seen as the ultimate equalizer. Like, oh, if you get an education, man, that degree puts you on the cruise line for success, and you're going there. You just got to get on, you just got to get your ticket, and you're going, and that's it, and you're done. And how actually studies show from the U.S. Census Bureau's survey of income and program participation that it is increasingly the case that no matter what your educational background is, where you start has become increasingly important for where you end. And that what they're finding is that the probability of ending where you start has gone up, and the probability of moving up from where you start has gone down. And that a lot of people who are going to school and believing that, okay, yeah, you know, because before, yes, you used to be able to, you go to college, you get a degree, you get out of college, you go to work, and then there's a job waiting for you there. But now people are finding that, well, they get a degree, they look for a job, they need 10 years of experience, and now there's
a
nothing.
master's degree, probably a doctorate.
And now there's nothing. But then also when we talk about like things like privilege and things like that, where it's like, oh, well, you know, it doesn't matter. Even if you grew up in the slums, like you can still make it. And it's like, maybe at a time, there was a time where that was a lot more doable, which still is crazy. Like the hurdles you have to overcome versus someone who already started ahead of you. But then now it's even worse, where now it's like, look, you were born in the slums, you're probably going to end up in the slums. Like that's, and the rest of your family for generations will just be there because there's no way out of it anymore. At least like traditionally or whatever the case is. But then this like feeling of now kind of like your journey of like how you've gone through. I did not go through like traditional school all the way. I went to junior college, the community college, and then I took a very long break. And then when I was working at Disney, then when they did the Disney Aspire, they paid for online school, and I was like, all right, cool, yeah, I'll just do online school. And that's how I got my degree. But I know for a lot of people, like kind of going through that, like, hey, don't worry, you just get a degree and then you just move through that whole thing and then everything will be fine at the end. Now is just this terrible lie. And then you're also saddled with all that debt. And then on top of that, people are not able to live like their parents do or did growing up with the amount of work that they had to put in. Now it's like you have to do like way more just to sustain that kind of life now, because of inflation, all the things or whatever. But now you're also saddled with this like intense student debt,
Right, which was like not a part of the formula previously either.
yeah.
Like it was just like another like.
And then when people are like, oh, well, it's fine. Like, you just have to get a job while you're going to school. Okay, cool, great. So you want me to go to school, which is something that some people used to be able to do and just you just go to school full time, whatever, done. And then you want me to get a job, maybe 2 jobs, because the students, the cost of school is higher, and the pay is terrible, and the only jobs I can get that will let me work for them don't pay very well,
right? Or have flexible schedules for me to be
yes.
able to do school at the same time, or
yes,
whatever the bullshit is. I remember, okay, mind you, I was going to school in 2016, okay? Like 10 years ago about. I was in college. They were doing if you worked on campus, you were getting paid at like an even lower. I don't know if it was based off of like the national like minimum wage or whatever. It was $8 an hour in 2016. $8 was an on-campus job.
God.
Just saying.
I was making like $10 an hour at that time, so.
Well, it was insane. So, anyways, you're really getting my gears here with this one.
It's hard.
It
but
is.
I think like that at the end of the day, like a lot of this perfectionism really, from my understanding of it, like reading this book and just seeing what I've seen, talking to the people I've talked to, it's like really perfectionism comes from just really this core of just not being enough, and then this constant drive to then be enough by everyone else's standards at first, but then now you've like taken them on, and then now for you it's like, oh no, well, not you, but you know, generally people will now then feel that like, yeah, that never enough, and I always have to have more. I have to have more degrees. I have to have more certificates. I have to have more whatever. And then that's when people will, but then also on the other end, then people are looking for, oh, well, how many degrees does this person have? Well, how many certificates does this person have? Well, how many of this does this person have? Or whatever the case is. Like, what have you done in your life? What are your achievements? What are your things? Like, and all of it just like, it fuels this feeling, this idea of you are not enough, and then you will never be enough, because we're always going to raise the bar. And I literally had a friend who applied for a job. This was crazy. Applied for a job, did very well in the interviews, both the interviews, like a technical interview and then like the regular interview. And then gets told, hey, no, sorry, we're not going to go with you. And he's like, oh, well, what happened? They didn't tell him at first, but then they told the recruiter, and the recruiter told him. And they said that, well, he did very well. And they just realized that afterwards that they just didn't set the requirements high enough. So then they changed the requirements of the job, which then disqualified him for the job. Like, he did the test. He did the things you wanted. Like, he passed all the things. And then now you're like, actually, we could, let's go a little bit higher, actually. That's what we're going to do. Like, what the, this is like, that's like the epitome, I feel like, of just like not enough. Like, I literally did everything you wanted.
And you actually like me.
And you like, actually liked me.
You want to hire me, but now you've changed the benchmark to like, that's insane, actually.
That is socially prescribed perfectionism to like the T.
And then you're just like expected to like go back into the world like none of that happened, and like just go on your way.
Yeah.
It's like
it's just crazy. Like,
again, harmful.
It's just crazy. And I would be curious if like that place would be like also be suffering from perfectionism, or they're like, you know what, like these people are passing really well, or they're doing really well, you know, maybe we're just not making it hard enough. Which then goes into Thomas's thing about the schools and like the selectivism of it, of like, yeah, that schools like Ivy League schools are only seen as great because they only let in so many people and it's so exclusive, and that's what makes it so amazing. And like that's why people look at it and go, oh my gosh, wow, like you got in there, nobody gets in there, like, well, that's crazy. Like and anyways, and anyway, I just want like I could talk about like the other like coaching things where it's like, oh well, you have to be very exclusive. Like if you make very exclusive memberships, then that's when people like get in. And it's like, why should we have to do that? Like if you vibe and you want to work with us, then just work with us. Like that should just be it. It should just be that. You know? Like why do we have to like, it's like the client doesn't want to have to jump through hurdles. The coach doesn't want to have to jump through hurdles, but then we're somehow, for some reason, we're both agreeing that these hurdles need to exist. It's like, why? Like we are like literally saying, hey, we want to communicate better, but let's also both put boundaries in between. And like we both agree that there have to be boundaries in between in order for us to like really know each other. And it's like, no, actually, you're making it harder for yourselves. Why can't you just be honest? Like, oh. Well, no, because that's not how it works. That's too easy. Like, no, stop it. Stop it. Man.
Something that I just want to say, feel your pain. Very much so. And I think that's why like what society has right now sucks. It's not great. Who's benefiting? I don't know. These companies that run as machines and not as humans and expect us to run as machines. And I think the author also brought up like, you know, the top whatever percent that benefits from like all this BS that we're just like all feeding into and supporting, right?
Yep.
And so they were talking about how GDP, right, is also focused on like this growth mindset, right, of like grow. That's how we know that it's successful. That's how we know it's working, right? And we're also holding that level of perfection to the metrics in our economy, like everything. Like we're not like airing in any sort of humanity into any of this.
It's just numbers, more.
And numbers that like are up, you know. Like 1 out of 10 is great, but we want to get to 20. Now we want to get to 30, right? It's like that continue, never enough, right? And so he brought up, instead of measuring progress with the metrics of GDP or growth or whatever, he believes that the answer was happiness and well-being, and that those should start to be metrics on how well things are, how good enough things are, right? As opposed to this like perfectionist, like never ending up and up and up. I'm curious what the chat thinks about that. I'm curious what you think about that, Juhong, about these metrics of happiness and well-being. I have like mixed feelings about happiness a little bit because I feel like it's kind of forcing this like, you know, it's again not allowing that humanity side. But so maybe I like to use I like the well-being, I like contentment, right? Personally, that's like the perspectives that I think are better suited for measuring. And I think that it would be so cool to start to measure, and again, I know that these are subjective. I feel like honestly, like what isn't subjective in a human like natural world that isn't perfect? Like what isn't subjective? Anyways, what does it look like for us to start to prioritize these things of contentment and well-being? How do we start to measure these things? Would it be insane to start doing that?
I think that so when I looked at like happiness is what you feel is right, not what others believe. I agree with that. I think when you talk about like how well a society is doing, I another great book called The Crucial Conversations always
Mhm.
talked about the elusive and I feel like there is merit to looking at the numbers
Mhm.
of like GDP or whatever, however you want to measure financially, like how well
Yeah.
a society is doing. And I also believe there needs to be a balance and measurement of like, well, how content or happy are the people who live in those places, because again, like, yeah, you could be pumping out everything, but then when you look at all the cities, it's just like that dystopian, like factories everywhere, just like concrete jungles, everyone is miserable, but hey, look, our numbers are up, right, that's great. Like, no, that's fucking terrible, we shouldn't do that. And I think that there's this there's also this terrible like view of contentment, that being content means you're lazy. But
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about. We're talking about like, well, good enough,
Yep.
but you don't have to stay there, but you need to at least be there for a little bit, like
Mhm.
enjoy it. Don't lounge around and like, just get lost in it, but enjoy it because you've earned it, because you made it to that point. And then, okay, cool, now you can look to what you want, if you want something better, or what areas of life do you want, and work on those one things individually instead of trying to do everything all at once, right? I think that also I think it goes back to kind of like this idea that we are coming out of this industrial age thinking when it comes to leadership and just way of life, and
Mhm.
moving into now finally like the information age
Mhm.
of leadership and things, which is more focused on the human aspect of things. And you still have a lot of industrial age leaders who are very like, you're just a cog in the machine, just like show up, do your work and get out. And I think as those people start to phase out and the people who are being mentored by them start to either phase out as well, or start to see, hey, look, there's a better way, then I think we will kind of eventually get away from that. But I think still focusing on eudaimonia, what is that?
I know, I'm gonna look it up.
Like eventually we will get to that point where, like, as you're seeing now, where people are like, they're only showing up to places, and people will show up to work at places that where the work might be so intense and crazy, but because of the work culture and how they're treated there, they will stay, and they would die
Mhm.
for those companies
Mhm.
because they're treated so well, and like they don't even care about the money. Like, yeah, money is important, whatever, and like, yes, would they like to make a living wage? Of course. But what they found, like in the Great Recession, or the great whatever, the Great Quit, or whatever it was, like, and people were like, oh, people don't want to work anymore. It's like, no, people don't want to work for people who treat them like crap. Like, that's what it is. And so it's just now we're really starting to head towards that. This Greek communist translates to human flourishing and living well. Yes. And when everyone can live well,
Yes.
then that is where we will. And I think in order to, again, I am not an economist, I'm not a finance, none of that, but I think that part of it, that human aspect, needs to be added to that.
Mhm.
And then I think, just like, well, it is proven that just like in a company, where if you treat your employees well and you treat them with respect and you make sure that they're taken care of, then they will take care of the customers and the clients, or whoever, the guests. And I think same thing with a society, where if you take care of the people in the society and they have enough, and then they can focus on doing the higher level thinking things, and the things that are actually going to take the society to the next level, because now they're not worried about all of this like basic level crap, then society actually will be greater. But we're stuck in this most people are stuck in this mindset of, no, people will only work if they need to work. So we need to keep them down. We need to keep them focused on
Mhm.
how miserable things are. And then same thing with like the advertisement. Oh man, I watched The Running Man. Oh, it just like set my mind on fire. I was like, okay, so ads make you feel like crap, because when you feel like crap, most people, the majority of society, will only buy or make actions when they are in their lowest part of their
Mhm.
comfort zone, when like things are shit and they don't know what the heck they're going to do.
Emotional
That's when they
distress.
make decisions, for sure,
Yeah.
100% of the time. some people still make decisions when they're at the top of their comfort zone where they feel like, hey, you know, life is good. Okay, I'm going to push myself forward. But most people, like, it's like the low-hanging fruit. It's like, all right, if I just make you feel like shit about how you look, then you're going to buy my product. And it's like, the only reason that works is because people then do buy the thing because they feel like shit. And so until people realize, like, look, how you buy, where you put your money is really how you vote for what you want society to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And people actually use that power, because in a consumer society, you also have power as a consumer to not purchase things. And it cannot just be a 1 day, a 1 week, a whatever thing. It has to be like a from now until like things change. Then okay. Because I always see these things like, oh, well, don't participate in Black Friday, don't whatever. It's like, the company can last probably a whole year without anyone buying anything, and they're going to be fine. Like, it really doesn't. I mean, most of these companies, you know, they have a reserve of like, hey, just in case if everything goes wrong. Because what will they do? Then if people stop buying, then they'll just cut all the labor. They'll cut all the people because that's the easiest thing. Then they'll save the money. They'll wait it out. And then, okay, now people start buying again. And then they come back even stronger because now they deprived themselves of this thing. And they will come back even stronger as consumers and buy even more stuff. And it's just like, people need to just... If you don't want to buy at Amazon, then just don't buy at Amazon. If you really don't like how they do it, then just don't purchase it at all. There are a lot of other places you want to do. If you do want to purchase things from Amazon, then purchase things on Amazon. Who cares? It's fine. But at the end of the day, if you like really want to like fight this system of like people don't give a crap about us, then that's really, in a consumer society, I feel like that's where your power is how you buy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyways,
I kind of disagree with you a little bit when you said like, if you want to buy from Amazon, it's fine. But like, I feel like you can't say that, but then also say like, but you have power where you spend money. It's true.
Yeah.
You have power where you spend money. So if you have issues with companies that don't align with how they're moving, like you don't align with how they're moving through the world, then like you have to act accordingly. And again, this comes back to knowing that things are good enough. You are going to be okay if you don't buy whatever for
whatever
the situation. Like like everyone is going to be okay, but again, we're like forced to feel like we have to compete and get the deals and do XYZ for things to be all twinkly and sparkly for blah, 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 whatever. It's like, no, actually things are going to be okay. You're going to be okay if this doesn't happen. There's other ways to show care and love. And I think that what is so hard about all of this is like foraging something that hasn't necessarily been done before, or having examples of like what it looks like if you got rid of your Amazon subscription and never bought a single thing from Amazon, Target, Walmart, like all of these big whatever, you know, like these corporations that maybe you don't necessarily align with, right? What does it look like when you start supporting small business owners, right? Nobody knows, because small business owners don't have a lot of money, so they're not able to flood your phone with ads that make you feel like shit, so that way you buy more stuff from all these other places, right? Like,
and they probably don't want to do that.
And they don't want to do that either, right? But we are just so conditioned. And so, like, again, we come back to this, like, I'm not enough, like, it's not perfect, all these things, like these ideas in our head. And we just haven't necessarily seen what it looks like for things to be good enough. And I think that that's, like, I just want to, like, encourage you guys to, like, be curious, to explore, to question. Like, again, you have so much power. Don't let yourself think that you don't. And utilize that power in whatever way that means. Your power could just be like questioning something, questioning how you're moving through, what decision you made, why you feel like that needs to look perfect or be perfect, or why you can't go because your hair is a mess that day, or whatever it may be, right? Like, well, let's check in. Are you good enough? Yes. You know, or maybe like, and I think what's also so cool about good enough is it doesn't, like, good enough can be crying. Good enough can be, it's a hot mess. right? Good enough can be it's shiny and brand new. Good enough, like good enough can be anything that you want it to be. And I think that there's just so much power in that in itself of like good enough is whatever you want it to be. Bring this power back to yourself. You get to define that. So what is your good enough? In every aspect of your life, at work, at home, in your relationships, like where you spend your money, like what is your good enough? Ask yourself those questions and take the time. Again, this isn't going to be something that you have the answer to right away, or your answer can change, right? Like this is just a place for us to reflect, to see like what is my good enough and what does that look like in these different places.
Yeah.
So
sometimes good enough is just showing up for the stream.
Seriously, thank you guys. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
so
it's
grateful
crazy
for you guys being a part of this conversation, and exploring perfectionism with us. If you guys have anything that jumped out at you from our conversation today, we'd love for you guys to share it in the chat. There's an aha, insight, inspiration that you're like, that's coming home with me. That's going in my toolkit.
Yep. Also on our social media too, when we make posts and stuff, feel free. We also have a Facebook page as well that you can go on and also interact with us there as well. If there's something that really stuck out to you. I know we're like over time now, because it's like 3:09, but we still have actually quite a few viewers still hanging in. I would also just say too that one other thing to note is that perfectionism is not necessarily always go, go, go. It can also show up as I don't want to do anything because I'm afraid it's not going to be how I want it to be. And one thing I would encourage everyone to do this week is embrace your, what I like to call your fuck it button. Your F it button, just in case I want to post that. I think it's something that I learned in the military, where it was just like, hey, do we think this is gonna work? Will it not work? I don't know. Well, you know what? F it. Let's just do it. Let's just jump in and we will figure it out. We'll get messy, and guess what? We're gonna have a lot of fun while we're doing it, and then we're gonna learn, and then we can do it better the next time.
Yeah.
And so that would be my, not necessarily challenge, but just my ask of everybody, just to try that out a little bit this week. When you're like, I don't know, it might not be perfect, it might not go well, because I feel like 9 times out of 10 your version of good enough is actually way above what anybody else is thinking.
Yeah,
honestly. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have anything, Kayla? Anything you
want to? I love that. I definitely, for a long time, my F it button was like no, which is no to things.
No.
Yeah. Nope, not happening. Because I was just as a perfectionist, as a people pleaser, I just was like, yes, 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 until I was, I was saying, talk about having like 5 treadmills. I feel like I had like 20 treadmills that were going at max. So I love that. And again, I want to like encourage you guys to just like breathe in compassion, breathe in grace. Even if you take time to just like think about this or have a conversation with somebody about this, about ways that maybe you've been internalizing or forcing yourself or feeling pressure from others of perfectionism, like just taking time to like reflect and like notice that, I feel like in itself is like such a great step towards getting yourself out of that perfection trap. So I just want to say you guys are good enough. You guys are more than good enough. You guys are fantastic and excellent and brilliant and all of the things. So perfectly imperfect.
Yes.
I had someone, I was like in a coaching group that I'm a part of where I get coached, and we had a mastermind, and I asked the question of like, how do you guys fight perfectionism and things like that? And one person said they were like, her name's Nevaeh, she's great. And she said, she's like, I just see my flaws as like the flavor. She's like, it just like, it adds the, and then I like started, I was like, it's like it's adding your own spice to things, right? Like you being imperfect like adds the flair, adds the magic to whatever it is that you do, and it is so special and so unique to you, and like why would you take that for granted? You know? And I was just like, ooh, I needed that one. Needed that one. So yeah. So just remember your flavor. Remember how special it is.
Yeah. And like Robert said here, says he's gonna start a toolkit, but tool is capitalized. I feel like I've heard of something like this.
Oh, well, I said like add it to your toolkit, so I think that's what they meant. Like, yeah.
Nice.
I love that. That's great.
And then it said also, if you don't try, you'll never learn, and that's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What is it? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Yeah.
So true. So,
yeah. 100%. So yeah, I think we'll kind of wrap it up here then.
One more thing too. Juhong and I are both life coaches. So if you're interested in working on this in a more personal and intimate setting, feel free to check out our websites, and you can reach out to us through there. We would love to work with you guys and dive deeper into perfectionism or any of these topics with you guys. We are also going to be here next week from 10 to 12 Pacific Standard Time, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, 10 to 12.
So it's
a little earlier next Sunday.
Yeah, November 23rd. From 10 to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So join us. Again, we're going to be on Twitch. We're going to be on YouTube. We're trying to go live on Facebook, but we need 100 followers on our Facebook page, and we're at 91. So if you aren't already following us, make sure you follow us. We would love to have you guys a part of that. And yeah.
Also, please, if you enjoyed this conversation, share with your friends, family, loved ones, anyone, customers, clients, guests, whoever you have. We always love a very engaged chat, and thankfully y'all have been that these last few streams too. So there's that, and then keep a lookout for all of our wonderful highlights that we'll be posting this week from this stream.
Cool.
And also next week we'll check in too, see how the homework went. See how it went. The F it button.
Yes. How is that going? I'm really excited. And if you guys have any suggestions on another book that you guys want us to check out, otherwise we'll let you know in like 4 or 5 weeks from now. We'll do another book. Love being inspired by these topics. So thank you guys. See you guys next week.
All right. See y'all later. Thank you.